back to Ascending with Ashley. I'm Ashley. This is a story time about an experience situation that arose today. And I would like to share because I think it's a really powerful learning moment. Now, I'm going to preface this with saying I understand the current environment in which I live. I also understand that my point of view is drastically different than the status quo in this country. And I hope you understand that as I share this story. Okay? Today I heard my dogs are like barking like crazy, and every time they do that, there's something happening outside. So I looked outside, and there's a little kid standing there in between my car and the ambulance with a fucking gun. I don't know fucking guns, but it was like, I mean, it was a BB gun, but it was like 3 feet. It was huge. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, oh, I was just shooting pigeons. I was like, what? I was like, not at my house, you're not. Get the fuck away from here. No, absolutely not, you know? And then he did. And he was like, no, I didn't know. And I'm like, go away. I'm like, you cannot come to my house. I take care of all of these animals out here. This is not the space for you. Go somewhere else, you know? I'm like, I don't care what you do, but you're not going to do it here. I'm taking care of this duck. No. And so he was like, okay. And he scampered off. And I was like, what the fuck? But I didn't think anything of it until Woodstock, like, got hurt. He, like, screams really loud when he gets hurt. He's a husky. And I heard him scream, and I was like, what the fuck just happened? And they were both right here by the door. There's a table. I'm sure you've seen it on my videos. But outside my front door, I have, like, a little table that we have, like, an altar in the Bug Hotel and some cat water dishes. And then the fence the dogs have over here, there's, like, the gate, and that's the only spot that doesn't have bamboo, so that dogs can see everything happening in our little front area. And the dogs were like going crazy, and I was like, what are you guys looking at? And I thought it was a black widow. I thought he got bit by something. Because there's like a web over there. And, you know, so they were both like looking under I've got like a pallet deck. So they're both looking under the pallets and like in this hole between the gate and the fucking deck. I'm like, what are you guys looking at? And I went out there to see their point of view, and I see a little fucking bird foot. And I was like, oh, fuck. No. So I booked it over here, came out the front door, and I, like, looked at the bird, and I was like, oh no. And its wing was all fucked up, and it was in shock. And it kind of looked at me, kind of not. So I ran in here and I got some bird seed because I've got a big container of bird seed. And I gave it like a little bit of food. I didn't know what to do. And then I gave it some water. And then I got a box and I like had to tape the box, and I got like a towel. And I Googled like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I tried calling my friends, she didn't answer. I tried calling animal control, they didn't answer. And then I like went over to my neighbor because he was outside, and I was like, did you see this kid? And he was like, yeah, it's their house. And I was like, oh, that's who it is? Because there's like 5 boys in this family. There's a ton of boys in this family. And the dad and I are cool. You know, as cool as you can be with your neighbor. It's whatevs. And we've never had a bad moment, right? We're kosher. Anyway, he was like, go to their house and tell him. And I was like, really? You think that's what I should do? I don't remember if I had called all of the other... I think I did go talk to him before. Because I was like hoping my neighbor across the way, she likes birds. And there was one other bird situation, I don't know, not too long ago. Well, no, it was a long time ago. Last year or something. And she helped me. She put gloves on and moved the bird. I don't remember what that situation was. But anyway... I remember her not being afraid of touching birds where I am, especially when it's been hurt. I don't want to do that, no. So I had like put rubber gloves on, and I was like pacing and calling, and I was like, oh my god, what am I supposed to do? And then I'm like, this is not my fault, and this should not be my problem, but the cats, the cats kept going and like sitting right next to the pigeon, and I was like, move, you know. I tried blocking it off with boxes, and I was like, oh my god, you need to move. I tried getting the box ready. I'm like trying to like lure the pigeon into the box. It was so fucking much, so quickly. I like was really trying to make sure that this baby was okay. Spoiler alert, it died. Anyway, hopefully it's dead all the way. Hopefully it's not suffering. So after I talked to, I had to call, so the animal shelter has their own phone number, but they didn't answer because it was like 10 minutes before they were closing, and I figured they wouldn't. It's Friday. So I had to call the dispatch, the sheriff, the county, because they dispatch for the animal control if you can't get through to them, or like if they're out on a call. And so I talked to the sheriff, and he gave me the number for game and fish, and they're like, it's just a pigeon, no one cares, you know, which sucks, and I care. Fuck. Poor baby. So finally, I'm like, Niall had gotten out of the pool, and I didn't really want to make him get out of the pool, but he had gotten out of the pool, and he was on the deck, and once I saw him, I was like, okay, now that he's out on his own accord, I'm like, get dressed, we gotta go to the neighbors. So I put him in the wagon, and I saw his sibling, and I was like, hey, is your brother home? And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, oh my god, kid's like 9. I'm like, what the fuck? Anyway, the mentality is anyway. So I was like, okay, whatever. So we walked to their house, and the kid that I saw's twin was out front, and I was like, so I asked him, and I was like, is your brother wearing a red shirt? And does he have a BB gun? And he was like, yes. And I was like, okay. And he was like, why? I'm like, because he shot a bird but didn't kill it, and he needs to come and take care of it, figure it out. So I knocked on the door, and I told the dad, and the dad immediately, thank God, he was pissed. He was like, we've talked about this before, and, you know, he was like, no, you need to go take care of that. So he didn't come. Dad trusted me. He sent his kid over to the art programs and shit before. So dad trusted me to do this with him, but their dog got out, and their dog likes me. Their dog comes out in the back alley all the time and will come to my door if they need food or water. And they really like the duck pool. Shadow is her name. But anyway, so Shadow ran out, and the kid got like really scared. He knew he was in trouble. I mean, obviously, you're like just killing shit to kill shit, right? So, Shadow, we got back into the alley. The cats had gotten the bird, and they were dragging it around, but it wasn't dead. It was trying to get away. And then Shadow got got the bird, and again ran around. And I yelled at him. I lectured him from the moment that Shadow got the bird until Shadow killed the bird. And he was crying, and he was like, he kept taking out his gum and like rolling it. He was very nervous, which I would be nervous too. But Niall was like, I'm not like that. I mean, maybe I am that scary. But I asked Niall if I was scary, and he's like, no. But Niall's seen me very mad, a lot more mad than this. Oh, what's wrong, Ducky? Did you hear her? Hang on. Anyway, she saw it all. How traumatizing to be a fucking bird. So yeah. You okay? What's happening? What's wrong? I can't handle any more of this today. Hang on, friends. I'll be right back. She's not saying anything in response. But anyway, my landlord calls me Dr. Doolittle. But anyway, and Peace Lady. Anyway, so I yelled at him, and I was like, why did you shoot the bird? I didn't mean to. And I was like, that's not true, because when I came out of my house thinking that you had shot my dog, you said that you were just shooting the pigeons, so you knew exactly what you were doing. And your dad has already told you not to do that. I was like, I do archery, and I shoot to a target. I said, they're $20. You need to get yourself a target. and you need to practice. I said, you don't get to decide to kill a being just because you feel like it. Um, I mean, this kid is young. His brothers are twins and they're like 9, so I'm thinking maybe 12, 13. No older than that though. And I told him, I'm like, were you going to eat the bird? And he said no. And I was like, so you just decided to kill it or hurt it? And then as Shadow was doing that, I'm like, this is so much unnecessary suffering. And it's because of you. It's because you decided to shoot this bird and not kill it. You know, you are the reason that this bird is being drug around by fucking cats and dogs at this point and not dead. That's a lot of pain. And, you know, I'm trying to get it across to him. I'm like, you know, what the fuck? And I think it's like, I'm thinking back to like movies, and I think that like boys and their BB guns, hence the title of this. By the way, I'm wearing this shirt. Girls will be girls, bitches. The difference is that we give life to the boys. That's it. So anyway, he was like, I'll never do it again. I'm like, but you already told your dad that, and you still came out. I said, you're not going to do this at my house. And I think I was swearing a lot because I was mad. And I don't know. I mean, Niall was completely unfazed, but I don't know. I swear like a fucking pirate. But anyway, my friend, after the fact, we were like debriefing. This happened around 4:20, okay? And she and I were debriefing, and she was like, why does all this shooting happen on your street? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. But then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, probably because I will say something about it. After the fact, I already shared this in my update about Ducky, and I'll go out there and check on her in a minute. But there was a turkey vulture in the tree, and Woodstock was the one that saw it, because Woodstock was like sitting out there like this. I mean, turkey vultures are huge. We have a crow that sits in that tree all the time, but turkey vultures are a lot bigger than crows. Their wingspans are like 6 feet. They're huge. But anyway, so I was talking to the vulture, and I was telling Al, I was like, look, I said, so that is a bird of prey, and it has come here to make sure, like, it will take care of the body of the bird that the boy killed. And, you know, there's feathers all over the fucking alley. Oh yeah, the old movies. I think there's like a trope about boys and their BB gun. I've never witnessed this, but I do live in Arizona, you know. But I don't know. I mean, this boy is a little white boy, and so it's like, did I have a conversation with a future school shooter potentially? You know, because like, what the fuck? How are you a kid killing? You know, and you know, I like I said in the very beginning, how I prefaced this, I don't play video games. I've never played video games. Well, I played Mario Kart like twice in the 90s, and then so you know, all of these violent video games. Again, I know he comes from a house full of boys. Like I said, the other little one had a black eye. I mean, the boys are fucking crazy, and their dad allows them to be, you know, crazy, which is what the other neighbor was saying. Like, they break all these windows and shit. I'm like, what? I mean, I've noticed them, but I haven't noticed how. I guess they just aren't like that around me because they know I'll call them out. But the point of this story is that I think we had a really good conversation. I just kept lecturing. My dad was a big lecturer, and I got that gene. I need to make sure you understand the point, right? The point of what happened. So I'm glad Shadow came with us. I'm thinking a lot about that. Like, I wonder why. Like, she like booked it out of the house and like found the problem immediately. It was really interesting. I've never gone to their front door before, and so she always comes the back way. I don't know. It was interesting, but she luckily took care of it. And then, you know, and so I've been thinking a lot since it happened about like the nature, like order of nature, right? The fact that the turkey vulture came, because I was worried, you know, I didn't want it to suffer, and that's why I was yelling at him. Well, I wasn't really yelling. I was talking firmly to this boy about what he had just done and the severity of the situation. And I told him, I'm like, birds have wings. They are meant to be free. You don't get to take that away from them. You know, like, who are you? What are you doing? So the bottom line is, I don't think we can allow these boys to not be held accountable, especially when these signs are happening at such a young age. And again, they live right across the street from the school, middle school. Same situation. I mean, he's just one house away from the neighbor that shot our house up, and their other neighbor's house. Love it, but I'm really glad he didn't hurt Ducky. I think this would have been a very different conversation if he did. I did post it online. I can show you a picture of our friend. There's like blood coming out of its wing. It's so sad. I am happy that I got to be someone calm before the trauma really picked up. I'm glad that the baby got to know that it was cared for at the very end, even if it did have to meet its fate through nature. So here's our friend. That's the blood right there. Its wing was all fucked up and it was trying to like fly away. Oh, look at that baby. I know underneath my table is messy. It did get a pretty good engagement online, and other people were also like kind of appalled. Someone's like, "You need to call the police." When I was on the phone with the sheriff, they were like, "It's a pigeon. You're calling about a pigeon." Like they were not worried. Obviously, if all they did was post-it note the bullet holes. I gotta go out there. I gotta go see what's going on. Okay, bye.